Welcome back, dear viewers of the Word of Life. Let us begin this journey, eager to learn the eternal lessons that await us in the enthralling story of Ruth.
My name is Ruth, and my story takes place during the Judges, a time in Israeli history marked by moral and political upheaval. My story begins with Naomi's husband, Elimelech, having to leave Bethlehem due to famine. In Moab, Elimelech dies, leaving Naomi a widow. This initial loss sets the stage for the challenges that will follow. After Elimelech died, his two sons, Mahlon and Kilian, married Moabite women, Orpah and me. This is also a huge advancement. Marriage outside of the Israelite society was not the norm in ancient Israelite culture, and doing so might be considered a departure from one's cultural and religious roots.
Ruth 1 verse tells us, "And they took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. They lived there about 10 years. The story takes a terrible turn when Naomi's sons, Mahlon and Kilian, die. Naomi is vulnerable and destitute as a result of the triple loss of Elimelech and his two sons. She is now a widow, having lost both her husband and her sons, and she is left with her two daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. In the ancient world, widowhood was generally associated with a fragile and vulnerable existence, especially for women. Widows may endure economic hardship and rejection from society if they do not have a male provider or protector. Naomi, who is now bereaved and without the support of her husband and sons, is in a difficult situation.
Our relationship with Naomi becomes an important part of the plot. Despite the cultural and familial differences, we have a strong bond. Naomi encourages us to return to our Moabite relatives, realizing the challenges we may encounter if we accompany her. After realizing that situations in Bethlehem have improved, Naomi resolves to return home. She urged us, her daughters-in-law, to stay in Moab, but I insisted on following her, proving my passion and dedication.
Ruth's reaction, on the other hand, demonstrates her dedication and devotion. Her famous commitment, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, your people will be my people, and your God my God." Ruth 1 verse 16 displays her devotion not only to Naomi, but also to God.
Back in Bethlehem, I am in charge of supplying for myself and Naomi. I went to the fields to pick leftover grain, in accordance with Mosaic law, which authorized the poor to gather from the field's edges.
Leviticus 19 verses 9 to 10 we read, "When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time, or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am the Lord your God." Gleaning was a Mosaic law-based practice described in the Old Testament. Landowners were compelled by law not to reap the corners of their fields or collect the gleanings, instead allowing the poor, widows, and foreigners to come and collect these remnants for their food. This practice of leaving the gleanings behind was a kind of social and economic fairness, ensuring that the less fortunate in society had access to food and resources.
My choice of fields is not arbitrary. It is in the field of Boaz, a relative of Naomi's deceased husband, Elimelech. Little did I know, this decision aligns with a larger plan of divine providence, setting the stage for significant events in my life. Boaz, the landowner, notices my perseverance and hard labor in the fields. My dedication to providing for myself and Naomi is not going unnoticed. Boaz's assessment demonstrates a respect for hard labor and an admiration for industriousness. Boaz goes above and beyond simply noticing my existence. He actively looks out for my safety and well-being. He urges his workers not to harass me, since he is aware of the possible vulnerabilities of a foreign woman gleaning in the fields. This act of protection goes beyond the immediate physical safety of the recipient. It conveys a sense of inclusion and concern for someone who might otherwise be marginalized.
Ruth 2 verses 8 to 10 tells us, "Then Boaz said to Ruth, 'Now listen, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women.'" Verse 9, Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn. Verse 10. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me since I am a foreigner?
Boaz's generosity extends further as he directs his laborers to leave extra grain for me on purpose. This kind of act goes above and above the requirements of the gleaning rules Leviticus 19, verses 9 to 10, and illustrates Boaz's readiness to go above and beyond in providing for me and Naomi's needs. The extra grain represents abundance and unexpected blessings. He recognizes not only my basic needs, but also my virtuous character. I've been told all about what you've done for your mother-in-law since your husband died, how you left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you didn't know before, Boaz says to me. Ruth 2, verses 11 to 12. Boaz acknowledges my selfless actions, and his words convey admiration and blessing.
Boaz redeems the land and marries Ruth, ensuring the continuation of Elimelech's family line. His acts laid the groundwork for his later role as a prospective kinsman redeemer, a concept rooted in ancient Israelite custom in which a relative may redeem the land and marry a widow in order to maintain the family line. Boaz's kindness in the fields foreshadows his larger involvement in the story. Ruth 4 verse 13 states, So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The union of Ruth and Boaz is blessed with a son named Obed, who becomes the grandfather of King David. Ruth 4 verse 17 says, The women living there said, Naomi has a son, and they named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David.
Our love story is distinguished by the merging of personal virtue, cultural conventions relating to the kinsman redeemer, and heavenly providence. My faithfulness, Boaz's kindness, and our eventual marriage constitute an important component of the genealogy that led to the birth of King David, who is also part of Jesus Christ's lineage. My story is full of ups and downs, difficulties, and a lot of decision-making. What if I didn't stick with Naomi? Or I was sick of life and gave up because of overwhelming circumstances? None of these will be realized in my lifetime. Remember to involve God in all of your decisions. You never know when God will use an unfavorable circumstance to lead you to something greater. Perhaps it's a dream job or a connection with someone you've always wished for. Unexpected blessings can come from difficult circumstances. My transformation from a foreign widow to a respected part of the community, together with my ancestry to King David, exemplifies the beauty of unexpected and transforming events. Finally, my story is more than just a historical account. It is a timeless reservoir of wisdom that challenges us to ponder our own experiences. It invites us to explore the lessons of loyalty, kindness, and perseverance that run through our lives, reminding us that, like me, you may find unexpected blessings in the fields of your own stories.
The story subtly reveals the providential hand of God working behind the scenes. Ruth's choice of Boaz's field, Boaz's role as a kinsman redeemer, and the subsequent lineage leading to King David all point to God's guidance and orchestration of events. Ruth's character breaks gender stereotypes. Her drive, work ethic, and bravery demonstrate women's strength and autonomy. Ruth teaches us about the dignity and significance of women in the framework of societal and domestic structures. Boaz represents the concept of the kinsman redeemer, which represents the principles of redemption and restoration. This idea is echoed not just in the familial environment, but also in the genealogy going to Jesus Christ, which parallels spiritual redemption and restoration. The community's response to Ruth's marriage and the birth of Obed demonstrates the value of communal support. Individuals and families can benefit from the well-being and prosperity of a supportive community. The acceptance of Ruth, a Moabite, into the Israelite group tests cultural boundaries. The story stresses the need for inclusiveness and acceptance, regardless of cultural or ethnic differences. As we make the final threads of Ruth's compelling story together, we find ourselves in a field of wisdom and inspiration. Ruth's story transcends its ancient origins, stretching across time to deliver lessons that resonate with human nature. It is a story of love and loyalty, resilience and redemption, woven with threads of generosity and divine intervention. We found not only grains of barley, but also kernels of eternal truths in Ruth's fields. The story asks us to think about the depth of our connections, the impact of our actions on those around us, and the transformative power of faith in the face of hardship. As Ruth's story evolved in the fields of Bethlehem, may we, too, uncover the beauty of our stories in the everyday landscapes of our lives. May the lessons of Ruth's story guide us with timeless wisdom, reminding us that our tales, like Ruth's, can be woven into a tapestry of lasting relevance in the domains of faith, love, and virtue. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the inspiring story of Ruth. If you enjoyed this exploration of timeless wisdom and biblical narratives, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Your support means the world to us. And of course, feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. We love hearing from you and fostering a community of discussion. See you in the next video.